And we're live. So welcome Ryan X Charles to my channel. And we're going to talk about your solutions to the onboarding problem. And this discussion is a response to a video you made a couple of months ago called "A New Solution to the Onboarding Problem." And when I saw this, my mind was just like that. But unfortunately, so much crazy nonsense has been going on since then that I haven't really even had a chance to talk about it. So maybe you could just start by explaining what you said in that video, and then my understanding is that you've had some new thoughts since then. So maybe you can update everybody.
Sure. So first of all, thank you for having me on. Cool to talk with you, Daniel. In video, I think for the first time. We've talked in person before, but it's cool to make like a sort of a YouTube video together. So yeah, let me give some background and some context and all that stuff first, so that people know what we're talking about. So we made Money Button, and the idea of Money Button is a really easy and low cost payment system that you can just plug in anywhere. And we made this because we made yours.org first, which is a social network with integrated micropayments. And people basically kept asking us, you have this button that people can press to send micropayments. Can you please make a WordPress plugin for us so that we can plug this button into other websites? And so one of the uses for this would be something like a newspaper. Like, wouldn't it be cool if when you visit the New York Times or any other newspaper like that, that you can, instead of having to sign up for a monthly subscription in order to read their content, you could just swipe Money Button once and like buy a single article or something like that. Now, the problem is, so we have this, I mean, everything works technically, but the problem is, how do normal people get cryptocurrency so that they can swipe Money Button? Because of course, one of the things that happened since the video I made about onboarding was, of course, the Bitcoin Cash split in two, and we decided to use Bitcoin SV. So most people in the world do not have Bitcoin SV. So, how do they load up Money Button so that they have the ability to swipe it? So this is what I call the onboarding problem. And I think most people in the industry are aware of this problem, but they're probably not very thoughtful. Basically, unless you create a product where you actually have to onboard people, you don't really realize how bad of a problem this is, like how difficult it is for new people to actually get crypto. For new people to sign up at an exchange, for example, for most people, most of the time, it's extremely time-consuming and unintuitive to go through an exchange. Most of the time, you can't just buy crypto with a credit card. So this is the onboarding problem. And this is one of the problems we're trying to solve with Money Button. And one of the things I did several months ago was basically to think through every single way to onboard new users. And so let me just quickly run through this list. We can maybe talk about some of them in detail in a minute, but I want to get to your top question first. Go ahead. Do you want to say something?
Oh, well, I just wanted to say I agree that the onboarding problem is really big, and yeah, I mean, I guess I would say that I haven't spent much time thinking about it because I could just see that it was so big that I couldn't even come up with anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, but before I saw your video, I had assumed that people would have to make an investment decision to get Bitcoins, because they would have to decide that they really wanted to buy some and that it was actually worth the money, and they would really get something out of what they would put into it.
Yeah. And that's still an option, but yeah, I'll sort of get to the idea in a second, but let me just for the sake of the audience understanding how it looks like this giant problem, but maybe there is actually a clever way we can really solve it well. So just so that people I'm just going to run through this list. So I don't know if you've seen my list, but I have this document where I run through different ways to onboard people so that people understand what the options are. So just to give you an example. So first of all, in the US, of course, or in sort of many places outside of really outside of China, you can use credit cards, and credit cards are very popular. The problem with credit cards are basically that in the US, most banks block cryptocurrency purchases with credit cards. So most people that have a credit card simply cannot acquire cryptocurrency with a credit card. So it's not even an option. Like their bank will actually block it. And the banks have good reasons for this, because in like a year or so ago, people were actually using credit cards to speculate on cryptocurrency, and that's the bank's money, not the person's money. So when the user goes bankrupt or whatever, it's the bank that loses money. So whatever, they have the reasons, but the problem is that now that you basically can't buy crypto with a credit card. There are other options too, though. Imagine we set up something where, so here, let me frame it differently. You are a new person who sees Money Button on a website for the first time, and you are convinced you want to swipe Money Button to make a payment. We need to make it so that you get crypto really, really quickly somehow, right? So credit cards are the obvious thing, but they literally just don't work. So what if we explore all these other ideas? Like what if when you click Money Button, we actually show you a map of everyone who's physically near you who wants to sell you cryptocurrency, and you can immediately participate in an exchange with one of these people where they agree to ride a bicycle to your house to physically sell you cryptocurrency at your house, right?
Oh,
like a delivery.
I like that one. You should still do that one.
Yeah, we can totally still do that. This actually exists. There's a service in Argentina that does exactly this, where they will ride a bicycle to your house and trade crypto. So this does exist in the world, and so this is a cool idea. Now that could be its own business. In Argentina, it is. It's a very local business because it's the type of thing where you have to set up like a service in each city or whatever where you are. But that's a cool way to do it. So that works around the banks, right? So then if credit cards block you, who cares? You're going to do it with cash anyway. And so there are a number of services. There's also like local Bitcoins and services like that solve that, solve things that way. We've thought of other things because you start encountering legal issues when you start trading. So if you actually sell cryptocurrency to someone, you are probably an exchange. If you're doing it as a business, and again, this is something where it's kind of different in the US and it depends on which country you're in. But you're probably an exchange, and this means you have to comply. There are various ways you could allow people to acquire cryptocurrency by buying it in such a manner where you're not an exchange. And this makes a lot of things easier. So for instance, maybe you can sell people crypto if you're not selling them crypto. Maybe you're selling them a subscription to a membership of some kind. And part of the membership is they get a small amount of crypto. So that could work. I mean, you can sell them like a package deal. That way you kind of work around the sort of the legal and problems with selling people crypto, as well as the problems with banks. There are a number of other things we've thought of. So another one, of course, Money Button is all about earning crypto. So we could make it easy for people to earn their way in. So and this is something we've already done with Money Button, is simply easy to copy and paste Money Button onto a website. And so theoretically, if you create something of value, basically for someone who has crypto, you can sell them something or whatever, and you can earn your way in. And we can create mechanisms to make that smooth. So for example, what if when you sign up, we have a service that's kind of like Amazon Turk, where we basically give you the option to say, okay, sorry, your credit card is blocked, but do you want to spend the next 30 minutes categorizing images? You can earn $5 or something like that, whatever it is, probably less than that. But that's something you could do where you earn your way in, and we'd want to build this into the process somehow, where you sort of earn it. Another option is to borrow it. So there are also a number of sort of loan markets where you can borrow crypto. That would work for people like if it takes you a week to sign up for an exchange, but you want to just read an article right now with Money Button. You just want to hurry up and swipe Money Button, that's it. What if you could borrow $10 worth and then sign up for an exchange and pay it back after a week? So again, that's another option. So let me just briefly enumerate right before I tell people what the cool, clever idea is. So these are just like, this is what I was doing before. This is like, I don't know what month this was. This was probably last September or something like that. You can buy it. You can buy it with credit cards. You can do real world exchange. You could buy a package of items that includes crypto. You could earn it by, doing something of value and somebody gives you money. You could borrow it, and you can, somebody could just give it to you. So these are like a list of options, and you think through how to do all these things. It's actually quite hard. Like the plan is over the long term, we'll end up probably doing these. Probably not our company ourselves, but we'll probably want to partner with people to do these. But then I thought about the clever idea that you're mentioning, where when I thought about things mathematically, I had a better idea. And so so maybe I'll stop there. I can share the clever idea. Do you have any comments or questions about that before I share that?
Sure. Well, I mean, I think that well, one thing you could do is just compile all websites that use the money button that have anything that they want to pay people with. So you don't have to pay people to categorize images.
Yeah.
There are probably many people who would be willing to pay small amounts of crypto to do all kinds of different things that you could just link people up to those.
Yeah, for sure. So we will do that as well. So we'll build stuff like that into Money Button. So one of the things we're working on right now is something we call the discovery page. So right now, if you use Money Button, you probably have no idea where are most of the apps that actually have Money Button on it. We have no discovery page. There's no way to find the apps that have Money Button. So you can make apps where people earn money. What if we did something where we simply channel people? We basically say, here's an app that uses Money Button where you can write an article or post a video or something like that to earn it. Or there's an app where people can give it to each other or something like that. Just a way to channel the user to all the different places where you can basically leverage different onboarding mechanisms. And I'm pretty sure over the long term, there are going to be many, many different companies that solve different bits and pieces of this. So yeah, we'll do stuff like that and build it in. Okay, so let me give the clever idea here. So I don't know, at one point, for certain, it's like because it's going to sound like it's almost not even really that much of an idea at all. But it was really like it created clarity in my mind. I'm like, oh, yes, that's exactly what we need to do. If we do that, it's very simple and straightforward, and that would actually solve it, wouldn't it? So the answer is we need to be able to onboard new people very, 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 very quickly. And I like to give Instagram as a role model where Instagram has something like 1 billion users and they're onboarding people very quickly right now. So they're still growing. So Instagram is onboarding the world. So even though Instagram seems completely different than crypto, they're doing exactly what we need to do in the crypto world right now, which is onboarding billions of people. And when you onboard to Instagram, you download the app and you can like follow people and post a photo in like a minute. So it goes very, very quickly. It needs to be that quickly where you can basically acquire crypto and spend it that quickly, that the onboarding process is that seamless, that it happens right away, that you don't have to wait for a week to go through a KYC at an exchange or something like that. So the idea is, well, okay, why don't we just give people cryptocurrency? Our company will give it away. We'll just give every single new user, let's say $10 worth of cryptocurrency. So when you sign, and we have some money. I mean, we can give this to at least some people. We can certainly do this for a few people. We can give some people $10. So the user finds Money Button, they click Money Button, and they're a new user. And they probably have to do something, some basic auth, like they'll probably have to auth with Facebook and Twitter, a phone number or something like that, so that we know you're a real person. And if you're a real person, we just give you $10. And so now you can immediately spend that $10, on the internet. You can buy the article you wanted to buy or whatever it is to use that $10. Now, the problem is, of course, we can't simply give everybody in the world $10 or we're going to run out of money, except that actually we can do that. So if you look at how much money other social networks earn, it's a very realistic possibility to earn something like $15 per user per year. So Facebook earns about $15 per user per year. And this is sort of roughly speaking the amount of money that if you're a social network, you want to earn that amount of money. If we can earn enough money per user that we know that we're earning more than enough to onboard our new users, then we can actually reliably give out new crypto. So that's it. That's the idea, is simply that we can actually literally give cryptocurrency away to every person in the world if we have a very, very solid business model where we can measure and we can know that for each new user we get, we're going to more than earn that money back again. So that's the idea. If we earn if we earn something like, roughly speaking, $15 per user per year, and we're growing at whatever, some sensible growth rate, we should be able to literally just give crypto to every single new user, and we'll know that we're not going to run out of money. So that's the idea. Now, that what that solves is, and again, to some people it might sound like I'm not saying anything at all, but it makes the onboarding process incredibly simple and fast and straightforward. It, like, instead of trying to have a loan market and like real world exchange and every idea under the sun to onboard people, it makes it really simple. We just give every single new user cryptocurrency, and we can afford to do that so long as it's paired with a business model where we know we're earning enough money per user.
Yeah. Well, I mean, well, what makes it great is that it's so simple and obvious. Yeah. I mean, when I first heard that, I was thinking, why aren't we already doing this? It's just the easiest thing that you could imagine. And like, not everybody can do this. Everybody who has a business can do this. And so and you know what I was thinking is, you could even coordinate with other businesses if you wanted, since everybody has an incentive to make the onboarding process work. There's, it just makes sense for everybody to cooperate and basically do something like that. And and in my experience, I know that giving people small amounts of crypto is very effective at getting them interested, because now they have something that they can actually play with. They can actually do something with.
Yeah.
And the more businesses get involved, the better it is for the new user, because they don't have to only use that with whatever you're offering. They can use it in the entire Bitcoin economy.
Yes.
And that's still fine, because that benefits everybody.
Yes. Yeah.
So, well, one of the things that that I thought when I first saw this is how because Bitcoin is so cooperative, it's really in your incentive to just explain these ideas to people for free. Whereas if you were trying to be an entrepreneur in the normal world, you would have to keep everything that you were doing secret. But in Bitcoin, it really makes sense to just give out free great ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that, but it's kind of an interesting point, because I've been thinking about that a lot recently, as in light of the Bitcoin Cash split, right? So imagine, I don't know what your stance is exactly, Daniel. I've always gotten a very sort of thoughtful and impartial stance. At least that's how you come across to me. But so, I think that that's true. I look at it this way: like, imagine. First of all, if there in the early days there was one coin, so there was simply no question at all about this, in my opinion. We all have this shared interest in making Bitcoin succeed. So by simply succeeding, you basically raise the value of not just the price of the cryptocurrency, but the value in the sense of the utility of it. Like, it simply becomes, not only do you have more money when the price goes up, but if there are more places that accept it, there are more things you can do with it. The utility of it, the value of it in every sense increases. In this multi-cryptocurrency world where unless you're perfectly hedged across whatever by market cap or something like that, there are different, it could be that your cryptocurrency loses and other ones win or something like that. But actually, if you look at it in a bigger picture way, I'm still very bullish on the whole idea of crypto. And, I think that we'll all win if the idea succeeds. And of course, I'm personally most bullish on Bitcoin SV than any of the other ones. But I think that it's a situation where, because we have this sort of shared, literally an asset that literally just rises in value, there's no reason to not just share good ideas, and we're all going to win this way. If everybody does the same idea, I want every company to do the same idea. Why wouldn't I? Right? Why would I want to keep that idea secret. I want everybody doing the same thing, because literally, they'll bring more people into the space. Those are more people in the economy doing more things, interacting with crypto, using crypto, and so on. They'll use Money Button, even if Money Button doesn't onboard them, if it's Hand Cash, for example. If Hand Cash does exactly the same thing, great, because they're gonna onboard more people into the entire economy that will interact with us. So I think we all win in that way. Basically, ultimately, the value of what we're doing simply increases, and we can do more things better, by sharing these ideas. So
Yeah,
is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Yes. And yeah, I agree that Bitcoin SV to me is clearly the most advanced cryptocurrency, and but it's so difficult for new people to get in and learn to assess these things that I think that it's I mean, I think that it really does people kind of a disservice to just tell them what you think is best, because everybody is going to be doing that, and they can't tell who has good ideas and who has bad ideas. So I mean, I still tell people that I think the Bitcoin index is a good default position, but I also tell them that I think I know which one is going to win now, which I didn't know before. Um, and so yeah, there is this problem now that each crypto is a different it's a different system of cooperation, because people if everybody is profit seeking in the same unit, it's like they're all pushing each other up at the same time, and the different units are all in competition with one another. But I mean, I think that since very I don't know, ever since I got into Bitcoin, I always understood that that's kind of what makes Bitcoin great, and that's why I was a Bitcoin maximalist, is that if everybody is cooperating together with one unit, that's way better than if they're all separated. And this is one of the reasons why I think BSV is the best, is the people in BSV are just smart enough to understand that. And I think that the other cryptos do not have that idea, or don't seem to understand the central importance of it quite as much.
Yeah.
So like, I've been having discussions recently with Vin Armani, and I don't know, like, I think that he's really smart about some things, but he just doesn't seem to get.
Do you think that why do you think that is? Like, because this is true for most people I know, and I think you did invent Bitcoin maximalism as an idea. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, so as far as I know, I was the first person to say that Litecoin is stupid, and it's a bunch of cargo cultists, and that altcoins are enemies.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, people, unfortunately, the way that the other Bitcoin maximalists, well, the BTC maximalists, I should say, the way that they interpreted this is they just learned to call anybody who tries to buy, they learn to just treat everybody who buys other cryptos like they're idiots, and be jerks to them, and do everything possible to be unattractive, which isn't how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I think that people are going to start to understand this pretty soon, because I think that the idea that everybody in a crypto is cooperating, I think that that's so competitive that it just won't be long before people see the differences, and then then we'll have more maximalists. I think the problem that sorry to keep going, but I just think that the problem we've had is that there just haven't been the people who understand how to cooperate haven't been able to network closely enough to really leverage the benefits of cooperation until recently. And this is why we had the Bitcoin Cash split and then the Bitcoin SV split. It's because the communities were so full of people who just didn't get this, that they were interfering with the growth of the economy.
It wasn't even really clear how extreme the problem was until the splits happened. Like from my perspective, like I mean, I was so I consider myself probably what the term I would use now is I should probably say I'm a Bitcoin maximalist again. I used to consider myself a Bitcoin maximalist until early 2017. And what happened in early 2017 was basically I realized my business couldn't work on Bitcoin anymore.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Oh, well, let me recommend a video that you did. Now I don't remember what it's called, but you did a really great video where you talked about trying to implement the Lightning Network. And it was just madness. Like I couldn't believe all of the stuff you went through to really try to get it to work, because it just sounded just crazy.
Yeah, I have. I think it's called something like "Why We Chose Bitcoin Cash" or "Bitcoin Cash versus Lightning Network" or something like that. And yeah, we spent a year and a half developing routed payment channel technology. Technically, not the Lightning Network, but the same idea as the Lightning Network, because Lightning Network is kind of a specific protocol now. And really, I won't go into that right now. Yeah, people can just watch the video, but it just ultimately, at the end of the day, it just didn't work. I mean, it was like impossible to actually solve the problem we were trying to solve. So I was a Bitcoin maximalist. Then I realized, oh my gosh, I can't use Bitcoin anymore. So I had to switch to Litecoin, which was, and I actually, I mean, you know, I won't go into that, but it was like literally like it was our only realistic options. Like I can't believe we've been driven to choose a different cryptocurrency because of this crazy stuff that happens on Bitcoin. I just couldn't believe that happened. It was absurd to me that we were driven. I was like, don't these people understand that they're driving? Like I did everything in my power to use Bitcoin, and we were driven out to Litecoin of all cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't want Bitcoin to be taken over by evil business interests, would we?
No, yeah, I mean, I don't even know. I mean, we were one of the companies that when Bitcoin.org denounced a list of like 25 companies, we were on the list. We're Yours Inc. They denounced us, and they denounced every business that supported SegWit 2x. Yeah,
it's just crazy. Well, yeah, I had a similar experience. So I just kind of assumed that people would naturally act to benefit Bitcoin if they had Bitcoin, but I was just shocked to see.
Well, I think let me ask you a question about. So I last fall, I mentioned a term that at the time I called proof of troll, and proof of troll was where basically there were these people that would troll the shit out of me, and it was like literally they're using this as a tactic to sort of have their say about the protocol. Now, later on, sorry, I think that was 2017. And then in 2018, Craig Wright popularized the idea of proof of social media.
Yeah.
Which is the same idea. And I'm giving myself credit for having at least mentioned it first. I'm quite sure I mentioned the idea first. But anyway, the idea that people would actually, instead of mining or whatever, they literally use social media as a tactic to secure their chain. Okay, what they're doing is, so what I'm trying to say here is, I think they believe what they're doing is like the right thing. They believe that they are, that this is an important part of, I don't know, securing the chain or something like that, and making sure that that it doesn't get hijacked by businesses or governments or whatever it is that they're worried about. But there are a number of problems, of course. Like, you know, I think that it's okay to do that for like an idea that's workable. Like if you have a cult around, I don't know, any good idea that's actually going to work. Like let's just let's just compare it directly to Bitcoin SV. I mean, the difference with Bitcoin SV is that Bitcoin SV has enough room for people to actually be able to use it. So compared to Bitcoin Core, it doesn't matter how strong their cult is around this idea, how passionately they believe what they say, and how driven they are to spend their full-time effort trolling other people on social media.
Right.
It doesn't, if it ultimately, at the end of the day, it simply won't work, then it doesn't matter. Right.
So, yeah, no, I can't believe how blind these people are. Like, and yeah, like that's kind of, yeah, that's an inherent property of cult members, is that they have an infinite amount of time to have endless, pointless arguments that other people don't have time for. And that, yeah, that's how they take over social media. Is they have, yeah, I mean, if you want to mine, you have to actually be productive and do. You have to actually do something. And so it's much easier to take over.
But what do you think? I mean, they are doing that. They are actually, I believe this is a tactic. I mean, I first noticed this in 2017, where literally people like, the people that did things like the No2X Twitter handles.
Oh my
God. It's literally like a very
deliberate
tactic that what I need to do is, in order to defend Bitcoin, I need to put No2X in my Twitter handle, and I need to talk about it all of the time. And this was like literally a tactic.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's their tactic, because taking over a social media platform is easier than getting more hash power.
Yeah.
So yeah, so well, I went on Jimmy Song's show in 2017, I think, and I said I thought the Lightning Network was stupid. So I can't believe the conversations that I had on Twitter after that, because these people were just rabid about making me read the Lightning Network white paper and then agreeing with them that the Lightning Network was actually going to work. And, inside I was thinking, I mean, how do they not notice how much this makes the Lightning Network look like a scam? Because if you're actually producing something valuable, you don't need to annoy people into saying that they like it, because you can just assume that some people are going to find it and realize that it's good.
Yeah. do they are they doing this like consciously? That's another, are they like, in other words, I don't know if I want to name names when I say this stuff, but do they understand at a conscious level that this is what they're doing? Like if you ask them, like if we ask them what we're saying right now, like imagine we go, I'll give one person as an example, someone that I used to work with at BitGo. His name's Jameson Lopp. Jameson Lopp is, we used to agree, and at some point we diverged. We no longer agree. Like if we brought this up to Jameson, would Jameson agree with what we're saying? Would he understand what we're saying? Or what do you think how do they look at this? Like, do they think that they are actually using these tactics on purpose?
So I think that, I mean, I think that they are bringing in ideas that they have learned from their experience with democracy. So I think that they are conscious of what they're doing, but they wouldn't see it as malicious, because they're just kind of doing things that you would do to win an election in a democracy, which has nothing to do with how Bitcoin works. And like whether you put No2X in your profile, whether you are supporting one idea or another, it's meaningless unless you have hash power, or at least you can substantiate your argument and change the minds of people who do have hash power. And they don't seem to realize that that's kind of how it works. And so, and I think that many people have come into Bitcoin without an intuitive understanding of how to improve their investment. And so they're just they're just easily manipulated by lies,
Yeah.
and easily drawn to acting out the democracy pattern,
Yeah.
and because the market for crypto is so crazy, uh, they're all very emotional, and they have a lot of trouble critically examining their own behavior. And I think so many people in Bitcoin are terrified because of their experiences with the market, because most people get in closer to the top of a mania, so they're dealing with experiences where they may have gone down 90% recently,
Yeah.
or something like that. And uh, and the crypto market it is crazier than anything that has ever been seen before on Earth, and these people, they're not emotionally prepared for it.
Yeah.
So they're just easily manipulated.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me follow up on that. So there's an idea that to me was clear early on, but what wasn't clear to me was how radically different people saw this idea, which is the idea that Bitcoin is a capitalist economic system. Okay. Now I'll give you my perspective, and I'll say this sort of from my sort of frank point of view. This is literally what it is. I mean, it is both a protocol and a system that is like a pure form of capitalism. Now, I use the word capitalism in a very specific way because like different people have different ideas of what this is. But the whole thing is based on this idea that the miners earn money by securing the network. This is where new Bitcoin comes from. And over the long term, they earn money by securing the network from fees. That's just, it was this idea from the very beginning. It's very, very capitalist. And I see people come in, and I'll just sort of rephrase some of what you're saying from my own perspective. People actually don't think about it that way. And they have these other experiences from their existing lives. Like you said, democracy. So some people might have been involved in politics. And you might have been, in the US, it's like the left versus the right. And maybe you come from whatever, some side, and you're used to arguing things in a certain way. And you just naively bring in the exact same ideas into Bitcoin. And you try to apply this sort of political idea into Bitcoin that are actually wrong. It's actually like a worse idea than what Bitcoin is. It's like they try and convert it back into, oh, well, I know that in politics, what I need to do is I need to add in, I need to constantly talk about how terrible Trump is all day, every day. And so now I'm involved in Bitcoin. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to just talk about how terrible Roger Ver is all day, every day, because that's just what we do. This is just, and it's like they bring in this existing idea of how they already live their life or how they already collaborate with other people. And they bring it into Bitcoin. They try to do it the same way, but they're kind of doing it wrong. It's like, at least from my perspective, right? I mean, whatever. They can think whatever they want to think. I think they're doing it. I think that people have missed the lesson of Bitcoin over and over and over again. And that's why I put it down. So this was last, I think it was November. I gave this presentation at CoinGeek where I had this idea that, and this wasn't my idea. I mean, this was, as I understand it, this idea goes back to the beginning. I mean, this was like, this is the idea of it. Every problem with Bitcoin can be solved with Bitcoin. And what this means is, you don't have to constantly change the protocol itself. You can simply apply the ideas of Bitcoin to solve problems. And what that means is basically you start a business, you earn money, you save money, you spend money in Bitcoin. You earn Bitcoin, you save Bitcoin, you spend Bitcoin. You can actually solve every problem with Bitcoin itself this way. You don't have to solve every problem by adding Schnorr SIGs or, SegWit or whatever. You can actually start businesses to solve real problems like scaling and ZeroConf are problems that can be solved with businesses. So this is how I look at it. And not everyone looks at it this way. I mean, people look at it in completely different ways. And I sort of gather, like it again, to kind of rope this in back into what you're saying. The people that come at this and they have this kind of kind of whatever type of democratic view or whatever, where they bring in their life experience, are just naively applying life experience to the situation when they don't realize, they don't even realize what they're doing, is how I see it.
Yeah, no, same here for the most part. I mean, I think that there are more nefarious actors, maybe behind the scenes a little bit more. But yeah, I think most of the people that you see on Twitter or Reddit who are acting insane, that yeah, it's just exactly what you said. And also 100% agree on Bitcoin being capitalist. And yeah, it's been amazing to me to see how many anti-capitalists are in Bitcoin, and they're all willing to try to get rich quick, but they're not willing to be capitalists. So I don't know what they think they're doing in here, trying to make the world's future money if they don't even like capitalism. But
just another note on that. It is interesting, and this is something where I've this winter I started trying to read more and learn more about some of these subjects like economics and stuff like that. I got distracted again because I'm spending all my time working on Money Button, but things like economics and politics really play an important role in all these cryptocurrencies. So consider proof of stake. I find proof of stake fascinating because it's like literally they're building something that if you described it in political terms would sound like a nightmare to me. It's like literally when you create proof of stake, you're saying the people that have all of the money make all the decisions and rule everything.
Oh, I mean, I completely, I'm amazed at how many people like proof of stake because, yeah, it's very, very bizarre because, yeah, I think that the people who like proof of stake are anti-capitalists. At least that's my impression of them. But yeah, that they are creating the plutocracy. I mean, well, they think they are, but proof of stake doesn't really work. I mean, if it could work, that's what they'd be making.
They're going to keep trying it. It's like, but it's also like it's like political systems. Some political systems just inevitably fail, but people keep trying them over and over and over again anyway. And
Yeah.
I feel like we're seeing something just like that in crypto, where people are trying ideas that, based on what I know, I'm already convinced that's just not going to work. But they try it anyway, and they can do pump and dump scams. So they don't even really care whether it works anyway. Because if you're just scamming people, and many of them are just outright scams, you don't care at all. Even the people buying in don't even really care, because like 95% of them know that it's really just a pump and dump scam anyway. It's just an idea that you can put out there, and it's like, well, let's see how much this one can rise and fall, and do yet another pump and dump scam. But it is to me, it's interesting, and I see this, and I don't know enough about these subjects to go into detail, but based on what I know, gosh, it looks like the cryptocurrency systems mirror real world economies and political systems. They really look a lot like that. The way they actually work are similar, or at least the way they try to work. And again, some of them just don't actually work. They're just basically scams.
So yeah, I think of Bitcoin's history as being kind of like world history, except much faster. So we recently went through the whole Middle Ages in Bitcoin, and now we're starting a new renaissance. That's kind of how I see it. Except instead of taking 1,000 years, the Dark Ages are like 3 years.
Yeah. I certainly agree with the fast pace. I haven't thought about things like Middle Age. Could you dive into that? 'Cause it's kind of interesting. I can kind of see that. Like in Bitcoin SV, I know that for myself and for many of the people that I kind of talk with on a regular basis, we're pretty heads down building stuff. You know, I feel like I feel exhausted from the ridiculous debates that happened last year and the year before and the year before that. It's like the debating is going nowhere. And we're in a situation where in BSV right now, probably some of the others, but it's like, well, we got the protocol. We have the basics here. We're just building stuff now. And I don't need to argue with people all day, every day, because that's not helping. And so we're in a sort of a phase where this year we're going to see a lot of interesting things get built.
Yeah,
is that kind of what you mean? Like, what do you mean by Renaissance?
Well, yeah, well, and that's kind of the benefit of capitalism, is that people can interact independently and they can still cooperate at the same time. And over time, everything is going to kind of fit together and work, even though they didn't have to debate and plan out the entire thing from the beginning. But yeah, well, so yeah, so I think of the period in Bitcoin start from the beginning until maybe near the end of 2013 or so is kind of like the golden age, because people were all just building stuff then as well, and there were not ridiculous debates about the protocol, and then the Bitcoin Core repo was kind of taken over by people who had no clue about what makes Bitcoin valuable and who didn't care about it. And I still can't understand what their motivations were, but clearly they were driven by power, and they would rather remain in control than enable anything that would let Bitcoin succeed. Anything that would help Bitcoin succeed, that would reduce their power. They didn't like it.
I agree. Yeah.
And they would try to draw people into ridiculous. So there's it's natural to pay attention to hash power, because that's a demonstrated opportunity cost, right? But it isn't natural to pay attention to the arguments going on about the open source repo that everybody uses, unless nobody knows enough to reproduce the software quickly enough. And that's kind of what they did, is they forced everybody to pay attention to them instead of building stuff, just because nobody else understood Bitcoin well enough to flank them, other than Craig Wright, which is what he eventually did.
Yeah. So I mean, I agree with that. I think so. There are two maybe explanations for why that happened. Did the core developers, and let's see if I can, should I name, I can name some people. Some of these will not be controversial to name. Luke Jr. Luke Jr. is very, very, very extreme. He not only does he, I mean, not only did he not want to raise the maximum
he's a person right out of the Middle Ages.
Yeah, you're right. He is. He's literally, he embodies the Middle Ages. You're right. That's funny. He actually wants to lower the maximum block size. Now, this is, in my opinion, this is like laughably, like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, this is the most anti-growth thing I can possibly imagine.
Yeah.
Growth is a good thing. And the maximum block size, just like, I don't know, what would be an analogy? It's like literally it like throttles growth. It'd be like something where, like, you know, you have a child and you literally place them in like, they're like, 3 years old, and you place them in a room.
In a box.
Exactly. You put them in a box, and it's like, okay, the ceilings are 3 feet high. How tall is that child going to become as they get older? It's like, well, they're permanently confined to a small area. They're going to max out at some point and just be crammed in a box and be unable to grow bigger than that. That's what it looks like what happened with Bitcoin. Now, when you ask, I mean, this is not at all, at least as I understand it, how they think they did what they did, but that's how it looks to me. Now, did they do this because they were consciously trying to get power, or were they doing it because, did they know that they were causing a problem, or did they actually think this was better? You know what I mean? Like, do they realize the vast missed opportunity by that situation? In fact,
I was just going to say, my impression is that Luke Jr. completely believes in what he's doing. I mean, I I would be really surprised if I learned that he was actually part of a big conspiracy to ruin Bitcoin,
Yeah.
because I know the power of ideology, and he has it. So
Yeah. I agree. I get the impression they believe, but so they think. How can I put this?
they think
They
Bitcoin
think it's better.
needs
They
them.
think they're helping. They think
Yeah.
they're helping Bitcoin. They really think that it's better off this way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's horrifying. um okay, well, we kind of went off topic there, but I don't know. I don't have anything more on onboarding,
Yeah.
but other than just to reiterate what we've said before, because I think the idea is so important.
Yeah. Well, you
Anybody,
say it your way. I'm curious. Why don't you describe what do you think is the right way to onboard people? And I'd like to, if you can say it in your own words, I'd be
sure. Well,
curious.
I don't know if I know the right way to onboard people, but I know that your idea is so simple and obvious that you'd be stupid not to do it. Um, and I mean, as long as you can reliably earn revenue, then you can grow Bitcoin by giving small amounts to new customers. As long as the amounts that you're giving out are smaller than what you expect to earn from them. And like this idea, the reason I think this idea is so good is that the new users do not have to make they don't have to make a choice in their minds that Bitcoin is good. Because the thing that I struggle with when I talk to people about Bitcoin who don't have experience with it is that so much of it is just over their heads. And so much of what I say about it sounds completely implausible, because I say, oh, well, it's going to take over the world, right? Or something like that. Or that's the idea anyway. And just the plan for what we want to accomplish in Bitcoin, and just I don't know, just everything about it just seems to confuse people so much that they don't want to engage with it.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to find people who are just ready to try it out for real. And like nothing that you can say is really convincing, because uh everything is potentially pump and dump. Like there's nothing that I can say to tell people that Bitcoin is good that isn't potentially me, pumping the price, right? Because there's kind of a conflict of interest there, and anybody can see that. So I mean, really, the best thing that I know to get people interested in investing is to just act like I don't care if they investigate Bitcoin. But if you're just giving it away, if you're giving small amounts away, nobody has to go through that. They don't have to believe that Bitcoin is any good. They don't have to have any idea about what's going to happen in its future. You're just letting them try it out, and there's no pressure because you're just giving it away. And and if you can give people a couple dollars worth of Bitcoin and then get them addicted to something, then there you go. Then they'll try to get more on their own. Then they don't have to. They don't even have to think about what the future of Bitcoin is going to be like and whether it's a good investment, because if they're already engaged in some kind of if they're already engaged in something, then they'll try to get more.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to just as you're saying this, I'm thinking through how this works out, sort of over the long term, and I'm gonna advocate for. So when I originally had this idea, I gave out these numbers of $10 and $15, where if we're earning $15 per user per year, we can give $10 to new users. These are arbitrary numbers based on basically Facebook. Like Facebook earns $15 per user per year or something like that. We can give out way more money, and we can do it into the future for everyone. What if we do things like, if assuming we're able to sort of pull this off in the next several years and grow a lot, there is always going to be new people because there are people that are born. What if we could give new people $100,000 because we know we're going to earn $101,000 from that person? You could really, like, seriously, like, there's no reason why the numbers couldn't be extremely, extremely, extremely high, actually.
What? Okay. You're gonna, okay, well, just why don't you keep it a secret how you're gonna make that work, and just then you can surprise me when you
how we get up to
finally do it.
$100,000.
Yeah.
That's a very long term. I like to give numbers like that just because there's no where's the limit? Why couldn't it be that high? Now, getting from here to there is an enormous, like, I don't know, decades long, if we can ever get there. But that's how to think about it. Like, it can be really, really, really big, but let's make it work. We start with really small numbers. What works for someone? $5 or $10, whatever is adequate, so that, and it could be different in different regions, where someone who's from a low income area, people from the Philippines. In the Philippines, $1 is a lot more meaningful to them than it is in the US, because you can literally just use $1 in the Philippines, and you just can't hardly use $1 in as many places in the US. So we start with smaller numbers, and then we work it out where it's not even that we're giving out $10. It's that we literally have to understand our own business well enough where we can compute exactly how much money we can afford to give out, and that's how much money we give out. And so we want to succeed more, and that means we can literally just give new people more money when they onboard.
And it's better if all of the businesses cooperate. So, and if they're doing that, then it's easier because they're kind of all supporting one another.
Mm-hmm. Which we don't even have to do formally, because again, this whole idea of it's so much simpler if there's one cryptocurrency. In Bitcoin SV, we all have everything to gain from making the entire economy better. The price goes up, the value goes up, and all that stuff. And we don't have to even necessarily have a formal partnership with these other people.
It just works out. It's just natural. Yeah. Okay. Well, it was really great talking to you. Do you have any final thoughts? Let me just check. I'm going to check on questions. I'll see if anybody put any questions in the live stream. Okay. Okay, I don't see anything else. So final thoughts, and then we'll close the live.
Okay, final thoughts are, look, I'm personally focused on Bitcoin SV now, and there are a lot of reasons I think this has the best chance. It is the original idea of Bitcoin. I've been convinced from the early days that this idea was going to work. Lots of weird things happened over time, but I think we have a protocol that will go all the way. So we're completely focused on building our company on Bitcoin SV. And I look forward to basically collaborating either formally or informally with all the other people in the Bitcoin SV world. And I'm very excited about basically everything we're going to be able to build and launch this year, in my company, but also everybody involved in this. It's extremely exciting. So, we had a really weird series of years here where I won't go over it again, but the weirdest stuff ever. But we have I think we have stability now where these mega weird destructive things are probably over. Who knows? But either way, I'm extremely optimistic that we're basically in a sort of building and growth phase now where the future is extremely bright.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And let me just add something about weird stuff. So I think that what we've seen with the splits is a rearrangement of people, because we had the core hierarchy, take over BTC like a parasite. But what we've seen is the splits give people an opportunity to rearrange, and the people who have a clue were able to get much closer together, each split, and we won't have to do that again in BSV, because now that people in BSV are understanding how mining works, now we're going to see that kind of rearrangement of people happen through mining. So we won't need splits anymore, because the miners are going to be involved in the network centrality contest, and they're going to be continuously rearranging one another without disrupting the functioning of the system as a whole.
Yeah. I agree with that, except to say that, gosh, I thought that's how it was originally, and things happened so differently than what I expected, that I'm optimistic that it is that way, and it will keep working out that way in Bitcoin SV.
Yeah. Well, great talking to you, and I'll see you around. And thanks for coming on my channel.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Thanks for talking, Daniel. This was awesome. Thank you.
Okay, bye.